Hey guys, today I'm going to be reading What's the Matter in Mr. Whisker's Room. It's a fun science book that tells you all about different states of matter. One hot Monday in early September, Martin arrived at school with a bellyache, but when he walked into the classroom, he almost forgot all about it. Mr. Whiskers had a wild look in his eyes, the kind that said something fun was going to happen. There were science kits set up at the tables and even outside in the schoolyard. Lots of kids had questions about the kits, but when Mr. Whiskers waved his silence wand, everyone quieted down. "What's the matter with your stomach, Martin?" whispered Ashley. "Matter? Did I hear someone say matter?" Mr. Whiskers asked. "That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Matter is stuff, and I have lots of stuff for you to play with. All the kids wanted to see the stuff, but first, Mr. Whiskers pointed out the rules for explorer time. When he tooted the horn, everyone scattered. Some kids looked at the kits in the classroom, and some checked out the science stations in the schoolyard. And if you look, you can see all of his rules he has right here. It says, start to play when you hear the horn, share with other people, change groups whenever you wish to or when it's too overcrowded, be gentle with things and people, have fun, and help put everything away when I beat the drum." At the water dropper station, Martin, Corey, and Miguel dashed to the table to set up with water droppers, leaves, bottle caps, and other things. Corey sucked up some water with a dropper and then squirted it out. Martin watched. "What are you doing, Corey?" he asked. "Making bubbles," she answered. Miguel covered a leaf with drops of water and discovered they stuck there. Then he counted as he filled up a bottle with drops. "Let's do something fun," Corey announced. She pretended the dropper was a drippy nose. Willie cruised by and looked at Corey, but didn't stay to play. Miguel stuck drops to a pencil, a paperclip, his fingernail, and even to Mr. Whiskers' nose. "Does water take up space?" Mr. Whiskers asked. "Water fills up my dropper," said Martin. Miguel replied, "Drops can fill up a bottle cap." "Look, bubbles take up space," Corey announced. "Toys take up a lot of space in my room," Martin said. "Too much space, my mom says." "Hey, maybe everything takes up space." "That's the big idea," Mr. Whiskers told him. "All matter takes up space." At the Gloop station, Martin saw Larry and Ashley over at a table with some interesting blue goopy stuff. He sat there just as Larry grabbed as much of the gloop as he could. "Mine's all mine," Larry said. "Larry, you're supposed to share," Ashley reminded him. "Now give some to Martin and me." Larry frowned, but gave a bit to each of the others. "Hey, this feels like rubber," she said. "It stretches," said Ashley. "Maybe we can add all of ours together and make a snake." "It's squishy and stretchy and bubbly." Mr. Whiskers said. "What else did you discover about the gloop?" "Its bubbles make a loud pop," Corey cried out. Martin whined, "It looks and smells good enough to eat." "That's the big idea," said Mr. Whiskers. "We can find out about matter by using our senses of touch, sight, hearing, and smell. We can also use our sense of taste, but not here." At the Oobleck station, Corey sat down between Pearl and Miguel. They had green, slimy stuff dripping from their fingers and squashed between their palms. "It's Oobleck. It changes from hard to soft and back again," Pearl said. "It's like magic," Miguel said. "It's hard when it's in the dish, but it's drippy when you pick it up." Martin and Lupita ambled over to the group. Corey pretended she was sick and cried out, "I'm throwing up green gunk." "It's kind of like glue. Maybe it would glue your mouth shut," Martin said. "Maybe I can glue my hands together," Miguel said. Mr. Whiskers squeezed some oobleck and let it drip through his fingers. "Do you think it's a liquid, like milk, or a solid, like cookie?" he asked Corey. "Sometimes it drips, and sometimes it's solid," she answered. "It's kind of like a milkshake and kind of like ice cream," added Martin. "It's hard and it's gooey," said Pearl. "I noticed that too," said Mr. Whiskers. "Matter can be a gas, a liquid, or a solid. The fun thing about ooblecs are that they change from a solid to a liquid, then back again. At the ice and water station outside, Corey wandered outdoors into the warm sunshine. She spied the blocks of ice that Miss Sanchez, the classroom aide, was placing on the blacktop for another science kit. Then Corey set to work inventing an ice melting machine with mirrors and tinfoil. "What are you doing, Corey?" Ashley asked. "I'm going to cook the ice," Corey replied. Miguel came by and started to write on the blacktop with water and a paintbrush. "Do you think water will melt the ice?" Ashley asked Corey. Corey thought for a minute and then said, "I know soda melts ice cubes." "I sprayed some ice with water and it melted the ice," Ashley reported. "My name disappeared from the ground," Miguel added. "Maybe I invented disappearing ink." Corey asked, "Do you think my ice melting machine is working?" And then if you see, there's a picture of the machine actually melting the ice right here. When Mr. Whiskers walked by, Miguel called out, "Come and see the disappearing ink." Mr. Whiskers examined the blacktop and then asked, "Where did the water ink go? Do you think the water changed to something else?" "I saw steam," said Miguel. "Corey's ice was solid," Ashley said, "but when it melted, it became liquid." "That's the big idea," Mr. Whiskers exclaimed. "Matter can change form, from liquid to solid or gas. The ice changed to water, and the water changed to vapor. A solid changed to a liquid, and a liquid changed to a gas. Ashley went looking for Larry and found him at a table covered with rocks, scales, magnifying glasses, cups of water, tiles, and other things. She peered at a rock through a magnifying lens and saw sparkles. Larry scraped one rock against another and rubbed his fingers over the scratches that he had made. Then he made scratches on other rocks. Ashley put little rocks on one side of the scale, then she put a big rock on the other and watched as it sank down. "Look," she said to Martin, who had wandered over. "This rock is heavier than 3 little ones." "This one looks like a pill," Martin said. He dropped it in the water and it changed color. Ashley ran over to Mr. Whiskers and pulled him to the table. "I found the heavyweight rock," she told him. "Do all rocks have weight?" Mr. Whiskers asked. Of course, I think everything has weight," said Ashley. "If I ate something, I'd have more weight," said Martin. "If you gave me all the rocks, I'd have a lot of weight," said Larry. Mr. Whiskers said, "That's another big idea. All matter has weight." At the water tub station, Larry and Ashley wanted to try something new, so they went outside to do some tests at the water tubs. "Remember the rules, Larry. You have to share," said Ashley. Lupita pretended she was giving a toy dinosaur a bath. Willie was hot from wandering around all over the place outside, and he cooled his hands by pouring water through the funnels onto his hands. Larry and Ashley found an empty bowl floated, but then it sank, and when they filled it with water, a cork floated, but Lupita's dinosaur sank. "I wonder what else will float," Ashley said. "Put the dinosaur in an empty bowl and see what happens." The dinosaur rode along the inside of the floating bowl as if it were in a boat. Willie also put a rock in the water, and that floated too. Mr. Whiskers cruised over to check the water tubs. "Look, this rock floats." "It really does," Willie told him. "But all the others sank." "Wow, what else floats?" Mr. Whiskers asked. "Empty bowls float," replied Larry. "Bowls full of water sink," said Ashley. "Remember the baby dinosaur sank," Lupita reminded them. "I like to float sticks," said Ashley. "So it looks like some matter sinks and some matter floats. Guess what? That's another big idea." Objects float in water when they are less dense than the water. A piece of pumice, which is the rock that Willie found, has air holes in it. The air in the holes make the rock less dense than the water. Objects filled with air, like pumice or beach balls, are called buoyant because they float in water. At the sand and mud place station, Corey and Miguel went to the sandbox. Ashley was there making cookies from a special recipe of mud, sand, and leaves. Larry, let's make something together, she said. Okay, let's make a giant cookie, said Larry. They mixed leaves and mud together and made a cookie. But when Larry poured water on it, it turned all mucky. Larry and Ashley got busy testing new recipes for dirt cookies. They added more dirt and more water, a little bit at a time. Let's make a pretend volcano with dirt, Corey said to Miguel. And then we can make some lava by filling the hole on top of the volcano with water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Miguel counted the cups of water as he poured them into the hole. When the hole was full, a river of mud oozed downhill. When Mr. Whiskers was nearby, Larry told him, the water drank up the dirt in our cookies and made it soggy. But when we put in some extra dirt, and it drank up the water and made it more solid again. Look. And she rushed over to show Mr. Whiskers their cookie, but she tripped, and it landed on his shoes. Oops. Sorry, Mr. Whiskers, apologized Ashley. It's only cookie dough, said Mr. Whiskers as he washed it off with water. Watch this, Mr. Whiskers, Miguel called out as he poured water into the volcano to make some lava. It looks like the water dissolves the dirt when it makes your lava, observed Mr. Whiskers. Yeah, replied Miguel. It sucks it up and carries it away. Wow, said Mr. Whiskers. It seems like some matter dissolves other matter. What do you know? That's another big idea. When Mr. Whiskers beat the drum, the kids started putting away all the things. Soon, all the kids were on the cart, and the children were sitting on the floor in front of Mr. Whiskers. He waved his silence wand and then announced, Raise your hand if you want to tell the class what you learned about matter. It fills up space, said Larry. I like lots of matter, said Miguel. Some matter can float, said Lupita. It can be liquid or solid or gas, said Ashley. So what you're telling me, Mr. Whiskers said, is that matter is everywhere, and everything is matter. You're matter, I'm matter. Everything from popsicles to planets is matter. I bet you can discover all sorts of wild things about the matter in your house and out in your neighborhood. Just don't forget to tell the rest of us about them, okay? The science fun was over for the day, but all the kids knew that Mr. Whiskers would bring in more strange and wonderful things to explore. And that's the end of the book. And if we look at the back here, it actually has different experiments that you can do in your own classroom that replicates each of the different stations. I really like this book.